All right, so I set up the state machine here. That's all good. Now I got to do is just go back in here and make this work. So, um, oh, I need another variable that's going to determine whether the jump key is being set up or not. So I'm going to do a variable jump key, we're going to call it, and it is just going to be, again, key code. So we're going to set up the same way we did the last one. Now, in my function update is where I'm going to set this stuff up. So, first thing I got to do is I'm going to take my anim.set float, basically to the speed, and then math f dot abs. And I'll explain what this is in a second. Input dot get axis oops, it's gotta be capital horizontal, and gotta do one for each one of these. Bam. All right, and we're also going to do an anim, oops, lowercase anim dot set bool, and it's going to be onto the jump, and that's going to be input dot get key, and it's going to be the jump key. 1 2 bam. Okay, oops, not that, sorry, this. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is we're saying this. Okay, so I have the variable animator, which here I set it to anim. Okay, so that's why this is where the anim comes from. So this is basically, it's like I'm saying the animator dot set float. Okay, so that's how this got set up. And so what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, in the animator component, I want to set the float speed, which if you remember in here, this is that parameter that I made. Okay, this is a component of this. All right, I want to set that speed. And then mathf.abs is basically we're saying math, and then we want to take the absolute number of the input get axis horizontal. So I'm going to take the horizontal number here, and then get the absolute, or the anti-lock brakes, using mathf. So basically, and just to show you this, if you select something and if you hit control single quote, which is the key next to enter, it'll bring up your browser, and it'll actually bring up the script reference. And you can do this with anything. I'm just grabbing this one chunk here, and I can actually look it up, and it says returns the absolute value of f. Okay, so but math f, just so you can see, it's basically just a bunch of built-in functions that do things. So like, for instance, there's clamp, and what it'll do is it'll clamp a value between a minimum and a maximum. There's lerp, which basically is a way to interpolate from one thing to another, meaning it will blend, in a sense, one thing into another. Ping pong, so almost like a sine, it'll go from, you know, a low, big to small, you know, up and down kind of a thing. Basically, there's sine. There's no cosine. I think there'd be a cosine. A sine. Oh, there's cosine right there. But basically, it's like these built-in things that it can do. Okay, so in this case, I'm just using the .abs, which just returns the absolute value. All right. So that's what this is. So it's basically what I'm doing is I'm putting this in here into speed, but I'm just getting the absolute value of it, meaning, well, anyway, it doesn't matter. But so I'm putting that in there, and then here I'm taking jump, and I'm just, if that button gets hit, which basically would be, it's either going to be 0 or 1, because it's like a Boolean, which will make it a 1 if it's hit, which basically will add that value, which will trigger that animation. Okay, so that's what that does. Now, the last thing I need to do, that will actually work on its own, but the problem I have is this, is that, well, actually, I'll show you. So let's just go ahead and save that. And let's go to scene here. And I'm just going to go ahead and, oh, I got an unexpected token. So I'm going to go to console, and it says 14. And it says 71 unexpected token, whatever. So let's go to 14, and oh, I didn't put that in there. Okay, so wrong. So I'm gonna go ahead and save. Command S. Go back in here. Hopefully this goes away, and it does. So basically, what happened is this: it will work Or not. Hang on a second. Let me see what's going on. Boop. And you got there's the animator. Why are you not working? Should be going. Oh, it's this one. Okay, so none of that's happening. Let me see why you would not be going. Let's see something. Okay, so I'm looking at this and I can see that that number's not going in there. So something's funky town. I'm gonna pause it and see if yeah, I'm a complete idiot. The reason why it's not working is that we didn't assign the script. It's not even attached to this. All we have is the player controller script. So I actually never even attached it to the player. So I'm gonna grab this and attach it to player. Oops. Let's undo that. You have to not be in play mode for it to work. Okay. Now, if I do it, you'll see it works. Okay. So you can see it's working, right? But you see the problem? I don't know if you see it yet or not. Well, the jump's not working for junk. I gotta weaken that jump anyway. The problem is that oh, you know why the jump's not working? Because I don't have it. I didn't assign it. So I gotta go here and go down to this key, and I gotta make sure it's on space. There we go. Because it's based off of the button, not off of the jump. There you go. The problem is, if you can tell, is that it's always going the same direction, which may be fine, but I want to make it turn. And all I'm going to do is just take the local scale and reverse it. So it'll be pretty easy. So I'm just going to add that into the code down into this function update. So I am going to say if input, oops, I got to make it capital, input dot get axis raw. We're going to say horizontal. Okay, and we're going to say if horizontal, then we're going to say if this should have, oh no, that's right. Okay, we're going to say if that is greater than 0, right? It's going to run this bit of code. Now, because it's a single line, normally you have to do these little brackets in between, but if it's only one line, you don't have to. If it's more than one, you do. We're going to say transform.local, local scale, and .x. We're going to set that equal to a value of 1. So we're going to say, basically we're saying if they're pushing to the right, which would be a positive 1 on horizontal, because that's more than 0. We're going to take the transform of it, which if you look here, scroll up, this is the transform, and we're going to say dot local scale, so here's the scale, and then dot x, okay? That's what this is. So transform dot local scale dot x, we're going to set that to 1, which obviously is normal, okay? But we're going to say if, on the other hand, if the input dot get axis raw is, and this is the horizontal is what we're testing, is less than 0, meaning it's 0 or, you know, less than 0, so like -1, it's going to do this. It's going to be kind of the same thing, transform dot local scale dot x, oops, x, and we're going to set that equal to -1. So basically, if the button gets pushed in the other direction, it's going to do that. All right, and we'll just Control S. We'll go back into here, and now you'll see when I push le play, when I push left, turns around. And all we're doing is we're just scaling it negatively and positively. And I have got to adjust my jump because it is like super strong. It's very much on a hair trigger, this one. Let's try 150 because I felt like 100 was too weak sauce. That's better. Yeah, okay. Good. So for all intents and purposes, that's looking pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and save it. And let's see, what other scripts I need to do. I need to make a, camera follow script. Or yeah, we'll do a camera follow. We'll do a camera follow script. That'll be easier. Okay. So basically what's gonna end up happening is this. Right now, if you look, when I move this, It's all fine and dandy and all that, but like as I go off the screen, the camera doesn't follow, which I want it to. Now I could do something like this. I'm just gonna show you. I'm gonna say this real quick first. I could take this and parent the camera to it. The problem with that is this though. So you can see it moves with it. For one, the scale gets kind of weird because when you go left and right, it scales the camera too. But I don't want it to move up and down with it like this. I mean, it's kind of okay, but I don't really want it to do that. It's kind of weird. So instead, what I'm going to do, it's actually not that bad, but I definitely don't want it to affect the scale. So instead, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to unparent that. I'm going to take this and add a script to it. So I'm going to go right click, create, JavaScript. And it's going to be, we're just going to call it camera follow script. And it's a pretty simple script. I'm going to take it, I'm just going to already attach it. Come on. Oh, come on. There we go. I'm already attached it to this so I don't forget. And I'm going to double click to open it up. And I'll go in here. And basically, it is such a simple script. Oops. Okay. Here we go. Good. Okay, we're all right. So basically, I just need two things. I need a variable that's going to hold the object that it's going to follow. Okay, so the object following, which is going to be, in this case, the camera, but it's going to be a game object. That's the type it's going to be because the camera is a game object. And we're going to do a variable object to follow. And in this case, again, it's going to be a game object, but in this case, it's going to be the character itself. I don't need a function start. That's not a big deal. And I'm just going to go ahead and enter just because I like to do that. And all we're going to do is we're going to do object following dot transform dot position dot x. So we're going to say basically the object following's x position. We're going to assign it the value of the object to follow dot transform dot position dot x. Okay, now if I wanted to also do y, you would just do another line of this and just do transform position. You could probably just do transform position actually, for that matter. You wouldn't even have to put the dot x because it would take it for granted that position, if it's just position, it's going to be x and y. But just in case, you could do this and then do another one and do dot y and dot y. But this should work. Okay, now all right, here's the thing though. I attached it to this, and even though I did attach it to it, there's obviously an error. Hang on a second. And it says unknown identifier object to follow. So let's see. Object following, object to follow. Oh, I accidentally capitalized that. See, you gotta be careful about what you do, kids. Let's go back here. Good. All right. So even though I have this, so object following is going to be the camera itself. Okay. And then object to follow is going to be the player. That's what I want it to follow. Okay. And now when I hit play, you're going to see that this will move with it this way. But when it goes off screen, it does not follow. It does not follow its up and down position, just and it's 1-to-1. And when I scale, it doesn't affect it either. But when I jump, again, it doesn't move with it. It just moves based on that. Okay. So it's a really simple script. It's pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead and save this again. All right, so now what I'm going to do is right now, if I were to play this and if this player goes off screen, it just goes off screen, but you see it never actually dies. So I need to like basically destroy it. So to do that, it's going to be relatively easy. I'm going to do this in a really crappy, bad way because I'm just lazy. So I'm going to go to scene. I'm going to back this up and I can see roughly where the camera is. So I'm going to go to create 2D object. I'll make a sprite. And right now, it's just an empty thing. There's nothing in it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to sprite here. I'm going to click on the little target symbol. And I'm just going to go down here and choose background. I don't really care. I don't even need the graphic part of it. I just want to put it in there because it's just easier. And I'm going to bring it down here. And I'm just going to just scale this so I can see it. It doesn't need to be anything special. I'm going to reset my, reset these values. So 0, 0, 0. And W and move this back down. And I just want to scale it so that basically it's the size of this. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a component and it's going to be a physics 2D box collider. Okay. And it's just, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be this size. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to do is trigger and then I'm going to assign a script to this that's going to, when something enters it, it's going to just kill it. So this is just a death box. But we'll do that in the next video.